Have you ever looked at the staggering statistics for small business failure and just wonder why?
It's pretty sobering, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we're not just talking about the first year either.
Yeah.
Over 80% fail within 5 years.
And then, get this, another 80% of those survivors crumble in the next 5.
It's truly astonishing.
Yeah.
Why do so many people pour their energy, their capital, their whole lives really, into ventures only to watch them sort of dissolve?
Well, that's a question that definitely weighs heavily on, so many aspiring entrepreneurs, and it's precisely why we're taking a deep dive today into Michael E. Gerber's seminal work, The E-Myth Revisited.
Right, a classic.
It really is. And this book is, well, it's far more than just a manual. It's a really profound look at the common pitfalls in small business. And it offers a maybe revolutionary way to build a thriving, lasting enterprise.
So our mission for you today is to kind of cut through the noise and unpack the core insights from Gerber's work. We want to give you a true shortcut to understanding why most small businesses just don't work.
And maybe more importantly,
Yeah, what you can actually do about it. We'll pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge, hopefully helping you approach your business with, renewed vigor and a sharper mindset.
and Gerber himself, he emphasizes this isn't just about success as some endpoint.
Right.
It's about a continuous process, like a never-ending game of evolution, about being present, attentive.
So with that framework, what exactly is this E-myth that trips so many people up?
Well, Gerber argues that this alarming failure rate, it isn't just random bad luck, it's systemic. It's rooted in what he calls the fatal assumption.
Okay.
And this is the idea that if you understand the technical work of a business, let's say, you're great at baking pies.
You know how to bake the best pies in town.
Exactly. Then you automatically understand how to run a business that sells those great pies.
And he says that's precisely why it's so destructive.
Mhm.
He makes it really clear that the technical work of a business and a business that does that technical work are two totally different things.
Complete different animals, yeah.
In fact, for the technician who starts the business, that deep technical skill, which feels like such an asset, it actually becomes their biggest liability. How does knowing your craft so well end up kind of enslaving you instead of setting you free?
It's a strange paradox, isn't it? Gerber explains it's because the technician is so good at doing the work.
Yeah.
They get trapped in the work. They become indispensable to the business, sure, but the business just can't grow beyond their personal capacity to do everything. And this leads straight to another core idea, the 3 distinct personalities living inside every business owner. Gerber identifies them as the entrepreneur, the manager, and the technician.
Okay, break those down for us.
So the entrepreneur is the visionary, right? Always dreaming, scheming about the future.
What a big picture person.
Totally. Then the manager is the pragmatist, craves order, tries to keep things running smoothly, keep things as they are.
Okay.
And the technician, that's the doer, loves the hands-on work, deeply suspicious of abstract ideas, focused purely on how to do it.
Right, just get it done.
Exactly.
And what Gerber reveals next, this really caught my attention. This concept of the 3 personalities, and specifically how out of balance they usually are in a typical small business owner.
Oh, yeah.
He says the average owner is something like 10% entrepreneur, maybe 20% manager,
And a massive 70% technician.
70%.
Oh.
So what does that imbalance actually look like day to day? How does this internal war, as he calls it, sabotage the business?
It's like this constant internal tug of war. Imagine trying to build something complex when different parts of you are pulling in completely different directions.
Yeah, I can see that.
The entrepreneur wants to grow and change, the manager wants stability and order right now, and the technician just wants to do the actual work they know how to do.
So it creates confusion.
Immense confusion, yeah. And it ultimately just drains energy from the whole enterprise. He uses that vivid analogy, remember? The fat guy and the skinny guy battling over a diet. One part of you makes these grand promises, but the other part just fails to keep them. So if you've ever felt like different parts of you are pulling in different directions with your work, well, this concept might really hit home.
Definitely. So, okay, once you understand that internal battle, Gerber takes us through the typical life stages of a business.
Yeah.
He shows how these conflicts play out. He starts with infancy.
The technician's trap, he calls it.
Right. When you first start, there's this amazing feeling of freedom, right? Doing your own thing.
Yeah, finally free from the boss.
But almost immediately, you become this master juggler. You're doing everything, making it, buying it, selling it, shipping it.
And all the stuff you don't even know how to do yet.
Exactly. And this is where the owner and the business, basically become one thing.
Yeah, he uses those relatable examples like Joe's Place or Tommy's Printing. The business is the person,
Take the owner out,
and the business just vanishes. Poof.
and then, inevitably, quality starts to drop. Maybe Joe's haircuts aren't quite as sharp, or Mary's corned beef sandwich somehow has pastrami in it.
Uh-oh.
What's the owner's response?
Work harder, work longer. 12 hours becomes 14, becomes 20.
Wow.
Trying to personally plug every hole.
It's that painful realization, as Gerber puts it, that your business has become the very boss you thought you'd escaped.
Oh.
And this phase, infancy, usually ends when the owner finally gets it. The business has to change or it's going under.
And tragically, most businesses fail right here. The technician just gets burned out, locks the doors, walks away, done.
It's heartbreaking.
And Gerber is really blunt about this job versus business thing.
Yeah, he doesn't pull punches.
Not at all. He says, point blank, if your business depends on you personally showing up every day, you don't own a business. You just have the worst job in the world.
Because you can't lease, you can't sell it, you're trapped.
Exactly. He challenges your core motivation. Why did you start this? The true purpose, he argues, should be freedom from a job, creating jobs for others, expanding horizons, inventing something. If all you really want is to do the technical work yourself, his advice is pretty stark. Just get rid of the business. Go work for someone else doing the craft you love.
That's tough love for sure. But it probably resonates with a lot of people feeling stuck. So, okay, what about the businesses that do survive infancy? Where do they go next?
They enter adolescence. This is where the owner, finally acknowledging the overload, hires their first employee, maybe Harry or Elizabeth, like in the book.
Okay, getting some help. That sounds good.
It sounds good. But it often leads to what Gerber calls management by abdication.
Abdication, meaning...
Meaning you just hand off the tasks you hate doing yourself. There's no real strategy, no proper delegation process. You just dump the stuff you don't like onto poor Harry.
Okay. I can see how that might happen. Yeah. And initially, it probably feels great, right? A huge relief.
Totally liberating for a little while. But then the inevitable happens. Customer complaints start trickling in, errors pop up, wrong orders get sent out, maybe customers feel they're getting shabby treatment from Harry.
And the owner, who's still mostly technician,
jumps right back in. Give me that. I'll do it myself. It's faster if I just do it.
Oh boy. Back to square one almost.
Worse, really. It spirals into this process of deterioration, as he calls it. The number of balls being dropped just exceeds everyone's ability to juggle them. And that harsh truth sinks in again, even harder this time. You don't own a business, you own a job, and it's the worst job in the world. The business becomes, in his words, a mortuary for dead dreams.
Wow, that's bleak.
It is. And businesses stuck in adolescence typically face two paths. Either they get small again, basically retreating back into infancy.
Which feels safer maybe, but still suffocating.
Right. Or they go for broke. They try to grow uncontrollably fast and often just self-destruct. He mentioned some classic examples, high-tech companies like Itel, Osborne Computer, Coleco.
Right, boom and bust.
Exactly. And what's really fascinating here is how Gerber ties these business struggles back to the owner's personal limits. He suggests the failure to grow beyond these early stages often comes down to the owner's lack of skill, knowledge, and experience, and, most of all, passion, for growing a healthy, functionally dynamic, extraordinary business.
So it's not just about the market or the product, it's deeply personal.
Very much so, which raises that huge question. If the root cause is so internal, how can you possibly overcome these limitations to build something truly exceptional?
That really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it leads us right into the breakthrough part of the book, maturity.
Yes, and Gerber makes a critical point here. A mature company isn't just the result of grinding through infancy and adolescence.
It doesn't just happen eventually.
No, it starts differently. It's founded right from the beginning on an entrepreneurial perspective. The conscious, upfront decision to build a business that works without you.
He mentions big examples like McDonald's, FedEx, Disney.
Right. They didn't just end up mature through struggle. Their founders, he argues, had a totally different perspective from day one. They weren't building a job for themselves.
So how did they do that? What's the model?
It's the entrepreneurial model. And the core idea is this. For the true entrepreneur, the business itself is the product.
Okay, explain that. The business is the product.
Yeah. Think about Ray Kroc. Gerber says Kroc understood the hamburger wasn't really his product. McDonald's was his product, the system.
Ah, I see. It's not what you sell, but how the business sells it.
Precisely. This model looks at the business itself, as a thing you're creating, a product competing for customer attention, just like a hamburger or a delivery service. And crucially, it's designed from the ground up to be foolproof, predictable. It has to work consistently no matter who is operating it on any given day.
Which brings us to the absolute central theme of the whole book, doesn't it? Working on your business, not just in it.
That's the mantra.
Once you really grasp that your business's primary purpose is to serve your life, not the other way around, then you can start applying what Gerber calls the franchise prototype model.
Right. Which isn't necessarily about actually franchising, but about building your business as if you were going to franchise it, building it to be replicable.
And this model aims to create an expert system rather than relying on finding extraordinary, irreplaceable people.
Exactly. He lays out 6 key standards for this prototype.
Let's go through them. What's the first one?
Standard 1. Provide consistent value that goes beyond the expectations of everyone involved, customers, employees, suppliers, even your lenders. Aim higher.
Okay, exceed expectations. Makes sense. What's 2?
Now, number 2 is the really counterintuitive one. The model will be operated by people with the lowest possible level of skill necessary to do the job within the system.
Wait, lowest possible skill. That sounds wrong, doesn't it?
It sounds wrong, but think about it. It doesn't mean hiring incompetent people. It means building systems so robust, so clear, so well documented that they compensate for differences in individual skill levels. It enables, as he says, ordinary people to do extraordinary things because the system is extraordinary. The system becomes the tool that guarantees consistency and boosts productivity.
Okay, I think I get it. It's not about devaluing people. It's about making the process bulletproof so it doesn't rely on individual genius, which is hard to scale.
Precisely. It's about achieving predictability and scalability. You can't build a consistent, repeatable result if it depends entirely on finding uniquely talented individuals for every role. Think McDonald's again, it works because the system makes the burger consistently, not because they hire gourmet chefs.
Right. It frees the business from depending on specific people.
Um,
Okay, that's powerful. What's standard 3?
Standard 3. The model will stand out as a place of impeccable order. In a world that often feels chaotic, people are drawn to order. Your business should embody that. Clean, organized, efficient.
Makes sense. People feel calmer, more confident. Number 4.
All work in the model will be meticulously documented in operations manuals, a detailed how-to-do-it guide for every single task. What's the purpose? What are the steps? What are the standards? This documentation is the absolute heart of predictability.
Got it. Write everything down. Standard 5.
This one focuses on the customer, delivering uniformly predictable service. Consistency is everything here. He tells that story about the barber.
Oh yeah, the one who gave great haircuts sometimes, but you never knew what you'd get.
Exactly. It created a burnt customer who just stopped coming back. People need to know what to expect from your business every single time without fail. Reliability builds trust.
Absolutely. And the last one, standard 6.
The model will use a uniform color, dress, and facilities code. Gerber argues that scientifically chosen images and colors have real emotional meaning and impact motivation. He uses IBM blue as an example. It communicates reliability, stability.
Contrasted with like an orange suit for a serious business meeting, which might scream chaos or unprofessionalism.
Right, the visual presentation of your business, the colors, the uniforms, the layout, it's all part of the package. It communicates subconsciously.
Okay, so those 6 standards define the franchise prototype.
Yeah.
How do you actually build it?
That brings us to the engine of growth, the business development process. Gerber describes it as this continuous dynamic cycle built on 3 core activities that are totally integrated: innovation, quantification, and orchestration.
Okay, let's tackle innovation first. What does he mean by that? It's not just brainstorming crazy ideas, right?
No, not necessarily. He frames innovation as constantly asking, what is standing in the way of my customer getting what they truly want from me?
Customer-focused innovation.
Exactly. And good innovation, he says, actually simplifies your business. It makes things easier for your customers and your team. It's how your business carves out its unique identity in the customer's mind.
He gives some fascinating examples, almost surprisingly simple ones.
Yeah, like just training staff to ask, hi, have you been in here before? Apparently, that simple question can boost sales by 10–16%. Or testing things like suit colors for salespeople, does navy blue outsell brown? Or even the effect of a brief, appropriate touch on a customer's arm during a sale. These things can be measured.
So it's about constantly searching for the best way to do things.
Yes, and that constant search creates this positive energy throughout the whole company. People get engaged in improvement.
But you mentioned measurement. That leads to quantification.
Absolutely. Gerber is adamant. Innovation without quantification is pointless. It's just guesswork. You have to measure whether your innovations actually worked.
Because feelings aren't facts.
Exactly. He says, discretion is the enemy of order, standardization, and quality. If testing shows the navy blue suit works better, then the navy blue suit becomes the standard. No more guessing or personal preference, data rules.
Okay, makes sense. Innovate, then measure. What about the third part, orchestration?
Orchestration is the glue, as he calls it. It holds everything together. His point is that people are predictably unpredictable. We all have off days, we make mistakes. So the system itself must provide the predictability that people sometimes can't. Orchestration is about documenting and implementing the best way you discovered through innovation and quantification, so it happens consistently. It ensures your customer gets what they want, the way they want it, every single time.
Now, he addresses that concern.
Right.
Right. The character Sarah worried it sounded too mechanical or deadening.
He does. And his answer is that orchestration, when it's done right and integrated with continuous innovation and quantification, isn't deadening at all. It's really just about forming good habits. It actually provides purpose, meaning, and vitality because you're mastering a process. He connects it back to Sarah's aunt and her pie making. She had specific ways of doing things, but the joy came from the process, the mastery, and the continuous small improvements within that established framework.
That's a great analogy. So these three things, innovate, quantify, orchestrate, they're not separate steps, they're a continuous loop.
Exactly. They form the backbone of an extraordinary evolving business. It's a dynamic cycle. You improve something, innovate. You measure the result, quantify, and then you integrate the proven improvement into your standard operating procedure, orchestrate. This allows the business to thrive and grow, almost organically, but in a controlled way.
Okay, that cycle seems powerful, but it also sounds maybe a bit abstract. How do you actually start applying this to your specific business? Where do you begin?
That's where crafting your vision and structure becomes absolutely critical. And Gerber insists, like really insists, that the starting point has to be your primary aim.
And that's not about the business goals, right? It's personal.
Totally personal. It's the vision of how you, the owner, the entrepreneur, wish your life to be. What kind of life do you want? Your business, Gerber argues, should be a tool to help you achieve that life, not the thing that consumes it.
If you don't know what you want your life to look like, how can you design a business to support it?
Exactly. Without a clear primary aim, you lack real purpose, you lack sustainable energy, and you have no benchmark to measure if the business is actually succeeding in making your life better. He describes Sarah's big aha moment.
Right. Me! How could I have been so oblivious?
Yeah. And Gerber shares some of his own personal journey, too, emphasizing that the fear of losing yourself, your identity, is way scarier than losing a business. You have to be willing to move beyond your comfort zone.
Because comfort can make cowards of us all, as he says.
It can. He argues that the chaos we feel isn't really out there in the market. It's in here, inside us. The whole entrepreneurial drive, he suggests, is this deep human yearning to flee external chaos and create our own little world of order, structure, control, and meaning, a relationship with ourselves.
Wow, that's deep. Okay, so you start with your primary aim, your personal life vision. What's next?
Building on that personal foundation comes your strategic objective. This is where your life plan meets your business strategy. It's the concrete plan that communicates where your business is going and exactly how it's going to get there, specifically in a way that serves your primary aim.
Okay, and he gives standards for this too, right?
Yes, 3 key standards. First, money. You have to get specific. How big do you want this company to be eventually? What are your gross revenue goals? What are your profit goals? And critically, how much do you want to be able to sell this turnkey business for someday? And by when?
Because if you don't know those numbers,
how can you possibly know if the business is on track to give you the life you defined in your primary aim? You need targets.
makes sense. What's the second standard for this strategic objective?
The second is the product, but not in the way you might think. He says it's really about feelings. This is so important. Nobody, he argues, buys the commodity itself, the pies, the consulting, the widgets.
They buy what it does for them, emotionally.
Exactly. People buy feelings, peace of mind, a sense of order, feeling powerful, loved, escaping into a fantasy. Remember the Chanel perfume ad example?
Yeah, it's sold fantasy, not just scent.
Right. So the crucial question for your strategic objective is, what core feeling will your customer consistently walk away with after every interaction with your business? For Sarah's pie shop, it eventually became clear the product wasn't just pies, it was the feeling of caring.
That's a powerful shift in thinking.
Okay.
Okay, money, feelings.
Yeah.
What's the third standard?
The third is a deep, almost obsessive understanding of your customer demographics and psychographics. Who is your most probable customer? Not just anyone, but the specific group most likely to buy what you offer.
Demographics being the factual stuff, age, income, location.
Right. And psychographics being how they think and feel. What are their values, their aspirations, their frustrations? What keeps them up at night?
And then how does your business package the look, the feel, the colors, the language, appeal directly to their unconscious mind?
Precisely. You're designing the business offering and presentation to resonate deeply with that specific target customer profile.
Okay, primary aim, strategic objective. What about the actual structure of the business day to day?
That leads to your organizational strategy. As the business grows beyond just you, you need a formal structure. Otherwise, you inevitably fall back into that chaotic management by abdication.
Just dumping tasks randomly.
Right. So Gerber advises clearly separating the roles of shareholders, the owners from employees, the people who work in the business day to day, even if initially that's the same person wearing different hats.
Okay.
Then you develop a formal organization chart. Not just a list of people, but a chart defining positions and the accountabilities that go with each position, independent of who currently holds it.
Like defining the role of VP of Marketing, VP of Operations, VP of Finance, and the managers reporting to them.
Exactly. Even if you're the only one there initially, you map out the structure your business will need when it's mature. The key is to then prototype each position on that chart. You create the systems and documentation, the operations manual for each role.
So you define the salesperson role, document exactly how it's done in the sales operations manual.
Right. And once you've systemized that role so well that a new hire can follow the manual and perform effectively.
Then you, the founder, can move up the chart to the sales manager position.
Exactly. And then you start the business development process, innovation, quantification, orchestration for the sales manager role. You systemize that, and so on, up the chart.
So the org chart isn't just a picture. It's a roadmap for your own progression out of the day-to-day tasks into managing and leading the business.
That's the idea. You build the systems for each role, find someone to run the system, and move up to build the next level.
So for you listening, it boils down to design the life you want, primary aim, then design your business to deliver that life, strategic objective, and then build a clear systematic structure, that organization chart, to make it all work without killing yourself. You're building the machine.
And those systems are truly the heartbeat of making it all work. Starting with your management strategy, Gerber tells that incredible story about the hotel, the Venetia.
Oh yeah, that was amazing. The consistency.
Right. An impeccably consistent, personalized experience. The matchbook by the fireplace, the mint on the pillow, getting your preferred newspaper delivered without asking again, the coffee pot ready to go.
All the little things, done perfectly every time.
And the kicker. The manager running this flawless operation was a former short-order cook. No prior hotel management experience.
Ow.
He ran the entire hotel using a simple, color-coded operations manual filled with checklists for everything. The secret wasn't his genius. It was a system so brilliantly designed that anyone could follow it and produce those identical, extraordinary results.
It really drives home that point. It's the system that delivers excellence consistently. It's those little things, perfectly orchestrated.
Which leads beautifully into your people strategy. Gerber frames this as creating the game.
The game?
Yeah. His core idea is you can't really make people do what you want, not sustainably anyway. Instead, you have to create an environment, a context, a game where doing it, meaning the work defined by the system and doing it well, becomes an intrinsic, rewarding way of life for them.
How do you do that?
He shares the hotel owner's philosophy from the Venetia story. The work we do is a reflection of who we are. Work itself is passive, right? But when a person does the work, it becomes a reflection of the idea behind the system and of the person performing it. He argues there's no such thing as inherently undesirable work, only people who see certain work that way, perhaps because the context or game is poorly designed.
So how do you design a good game for your team?
Gerber lays out some key elements. One, it needs a clear, objective, and ethical moral strategy everyone understands and buys into. 2, rules that make sense, that feel fair, ideally based on universal truths about performance and reward.
Okay. Objective rules.
3, ways of winning the game without ending it. Think small, achievable victories, recognition, progress markers that keep people motivated day to day. 4, you need to change tactics sometimes to keep it fresh, but not the fundamental strategy or goalposts.
Keep it interesting.
Right. 5, the game needs to be fun, at least from time to time. And importantly, fun needs to be defined by your people, not just imposed by management. And 6th, it needs both logic and emotional commitment. People need to understand it intellectually and feel connected to it emotionally.
This idea of the game, it feels really critical. It moves beyond just telling people what to do.
It does. It aims to create a deeper connection between the person and the work itself, within the structure of the system. It emphasizes again that the system, more than individual brilliance, is what makes an extraordinary business possible. Gerber cleverly links this back to Sarah's understanding of her aunt's pie making.
Yeah, the precise steps, the constant small improvements, the pride in mastery.
Exactly. Those are universal principles of a well-designed game clear process, room for improvement, and the inherent satisfaction of doing something well, consistently.
Okay, management strategy, people strategy. What about getting customers in the door? Marketing strategy.
Right, and this is an area where Gerber sees a huge gap in small businesses. Many owners, he says, kind of dismiss marketing as just common sense or subjective opinion.
Yeah, they design a logo quickly at the print shop, maybe let their spouse pick the company colors.
Exactly, making huge decisions based on guesswork or personal taste with no real research or strategy. But contrast that with the big guys, IBM, McDonald's, FedEx, Disney. They take marketing incredibly seriously.
Because they know how crucial it is.
And Gerber's point is, small businesses are actually more fragile. They can't afford marketing mistakes. They need to take it even more seriously, especially now, in what he calls this unforgiving age of constant information overload. Standing out is harder than ever.
So what's the small business owner's role in marketing then? It's not just placing ads, right?
No, he insists the true work of the owner is strategic marketing, not just tactical execution. Thinking about positioning, target audience, messaging. But if you're always trapped working in your business...
You never have the time or mental space to work on that vital strategic marketing.
Precisely. And he broadens the definition of marketing significantly. Fundamentally, he says, every single function in your company is actually a marketing function. Everything that touches the customer or influences their perception.
So everything.
Everything contributes to answering that core marketing question. What must our business be in the mind of our customers for them to choose it over everyone else? He then highlights what he calls the key process: lead generation, lead conversion, and client fulfillment.
Which you could roughly translate to marketing, sales, and operations.
Pretty much. And his point is, this entire integrated process is your marketing. It's not just the ads. It's about making a clear, compelling promise that your target customer really wants to hear.
The lead generation part.
Then effectively converting that interest into a sale.
Lead conversion.
And then consistently, brilliantly delivering on that promise.
Client fulfillment, the operations part.
Right. And doing that whole cycle better than anyone else targeting that same customer. That complete system is your marketing strategy in action.
Okay, that really broadens the scope. It's not just one department. Which leads us, I guess, to the final piece. Your system strategy. This feels like the glue holding it all together.
It absolutely is the glue. Gerber defines basically everything in your business as a system. He breaks them down into 3 types. There are hard systems.
Inanimate things.
Yeah, like the computers you use, the layout of your office, the color on the walls, the physical tools. Then there are soft systems.
People and ideas.
Exactly. Living people, the scripts they use, your sales process, your training protocols, how you answer the phone, ideas put into action by people. And finally, information systems.
The data.
Right. How you track customer interactions, sales numbers, website traffic, inventory levels, the flow of data that tells you what's working and what's not.
So hard, soft, and information system.
And the whole business development program, that cycle of innovation, quantification, orchestration, is about constantly improving and, crucially, integrating all 3 types of systems so they work together seamlessly.
He gives that simple but great example, the prevent a smudge system.
Yeah. solving the annoying problem of blue whiteboard marker ink getting smudged on the white walls.
Yeah.
It wasn't just about the whiteboard hard system or telling people to be careful, soft system. It was about analyzing the interaction between the systems where people instinctively put their pens down and designing a simple solution, like a specific pen holder, that addressed that interaction.
Fixing the system, not just blaming the people.
Exactly. But maybe the most powerful illustration he provides is the PowerPoint selling system.
This was the structured sales process.
Highly structured, yes. A predictable, documented system for sales conversations. It involves specific scripts, defines steps for every stage, the greeting, establishing credibility, doing a needs analysis, presenting the solution systematically, handling objections, closing the sale.
And the results he quotes are incredible.
Just staggering. Huge revenue increases, 300% for one company, 500% for another, 40% for a health spa achieved by implementing this precise system, often with relatively inexperienced salespeople who could just follow the steps.
It takes the guesswork and the reliance on natural-born salespeople out of the equation.
Completely. It makes success systematic, and that's his ultimate point. Your business must be thought of, designed, and managed as a fully integrated system. Trying to fix or improve one part in isolation without considering how it connects to everything else is, in his words, lunacy.
Because everything affects everything else.
Everything. Every piece of communication, your recruitment ads, your website copy, your training manuals, how your receptionist answers the phone, every single one is a soft system. And they all have to work together, reinforcing the same message, the same standards, the same feeling.
Wow. Okay, so we've really covered a lot in this deep dive. We've navigated those common fatal pitfalls for small businesses.
The fatal assumption, the technician's trap.
Right. We've seen the incredible power of systematization through that franchise prototype model.
Building the business as if to sell it.
Understood that dynamic engine of innovation, quantification, and orchestration.
A continuous improvement cycle.
And realize that truly every aspect of your business, from your deepest personal aims to your marketing, your people, your management, has to be viewed and built as one integrated system.
And Gerber's own journey and the story of Sarah woven through the book, they're powerful reminders, aren't they? That the chaos we often feel in our businesses
is often just a reflection of the chaos inside us, our own lack of clarity or systems.
Exactly. That entrepreneurial drive, as he frames it, is this profound yearning for structure, for form, for control, really. A quest to create our own ordered world, starting from within ourselves.
It's a big perspective shift. Michael Gerber closes his book with that old Chinese proverb.
Yes. When you hear something, you forget it.
When you see something, you remember it.
But not until you do something will you understand it.
And that feels like the perfect place to leave it. This deep dive, hopefully, has laid out a really powerful framework from the E-Myth. But the true understanding, the real transformation for you, well, that only comes from action.
From doing.
Exactly. So the question for you is, what specific part of your business, or maybe even, as Gerber suggests, what part of your life will you begin to work on, not just in, starting today?